everyone. Okay, so right from the jump, the obvious thing to talk about is the massive reveal from Sukiyaki that Pluton is not only on Wano, but that, in a sense, Pluton is Wano. Like, from the way he explains it, Wano is basically Pluton itself. The island is Pluton. And I wanted to save my discussion on this for this episode, specifically to also talk about my own experiences from the manga versus revisiting this reveal in the anime, because when I first read this in the manga, I had the reaction of someone who loved the reveal, but also sat there scratching my head going, wait, did I miss a scene or something? Because it's one of those things where it did make sense narratively at the time, but it also left me wondering if it missed out on a few details, like to properly glue it all together, as it were. And this is kind of what I've been alluding to with me hyping up this reveal, which is to say, through visiting a lot of Wano with the anime, and because of the anime's slower pace it's known for, the slower pace kind of allowed me to catch a lot of hints, details, and clues that either flew right over my head or that were staring me right in the goddamn face, but didn't catch on to. Yeah, I know, I'm an idiot. But the most prominent one, I think, I can point to, being Yamato's Devil Fruit. When her power was first revealed, there was a lot of cryptic talk from Kaido about her fruit being the thing that was supposed to help him find something that would allow him to conquer the seas. And again, in retrospect, it makes sense that thing would be Pluton. But at the time, me being the dumbass that I was, couldn't put two and two together, and that in itself gets to a very interesting point, which is, when you really look at this reveal, it really says something that Kaido came this close to actually obtaining an ancient weapon. Like, Pluton was standing right under his feet this whole time, and the only thing that really stood in his way from obtaining it was Yamato's rebellion. Like, I know people are going to bring up, well, Luffy would have defeated him anyway. Like, you really have to think about this. If Yamato didn't, if she wasn't like acting like a rebellious teenager at the time, if she hadn't obtained this fruit and just chosen, I'm gonna fuck with my father's whole deal, then honestly, I don't think it would have mattered had Luffy been here or not. It all would have been Kaido's at this point. Like, Luffy's involvement, I don't know if Luffy's involvement really would have changed much, if I'm being honest about it. And that in itself is a very scary thought. Like, in some ways, you could say it's because of Yamato's interference with Kaido's affairs that allowed Luffy to even oppose Kaido to begin with, honestly. I don't think it would have been as much of an even shot at defeating him had Kaido already attained like Pluton by then. And like, again, it's a very scary thought to think about, really, honestly. With that said, it also adds to what we know about everything in regards to Oden's. The reveal also adds a lot to what we know, everything about Oden's journal and Momonosuke's reservations in the end about opening the border. Like, with such a powerful weapon, Wano does need to kind of extend a hand to the outside world just to show it's not a threat. Especially but at the same time, they have to realize doing so would literally mean unleashing the weapon itself, which emphasizes unleashing the weapon, doing that would also unleash the weapon itself, and doing so kind of also emphasizes the need for caution all the more, because if opening the borders means what Sukiyaki said, then doing so would be misinterpreted as an act of war to the world. So it's also an example of why Momonosuke made the decision he did. Until he's certain that Wano and the government can meet somewhere in the middle, or just in general open some pathway of discussion and dialogue, then it isn't safe for Wano's borders to be open to anyone, even if keeping them closed is also aggravates the situation beyond this point, because, like, literally, Wano is the weapon, and opening borders means you're effectively activating the weapon, and it's really one of those situations where Wano is in a no-win situation right now, and all Momonosuke could really do is choose the path he feels would minimize the damage. But with Ryokugi's assault on Wano, it also signals that Momonosuke is working on borrowed time, which in which he can actually get Wano probably prepared for a rather uncertain future. And for Momonosuke, I think I like how fighting Ryukugyu is also like the first steps towards seeing if he's truly able to lead Wano in the future, or if he's still the same scared little, or if he's still the same scared little boy he always was. And which ultimately, even if Shanks did step in, the fact that he did manage to finally damage Ryukugyu's wood body is a step in the right direction, showing that yes, he might still have a little bit of ways to go, but he is on that path towards becoming the leader Wano needs, especially knowing what he knows about probably about the fact that Pluton stands right underneath everyone's feet. Speaking of Shanks, though, let's talk about him for a minute, because obviously it was badass to see him immobilize Ryukugyu, but the more puzzling part of me right now is when we flash through basically all of his memories, and one of those memories contains a silhouette of young Uta. And after having watched film Red myself, this is one of those reveals that does make me question what Uta's role in the story will be in comparison to the movie, because with One Piece's films, I've tended to learn that even if the story itself is non-canon, the character in the legacy usually is. So it's got me thinking that even if it didn't happen the same way it happened in the movie, I do wonder if Uta might already be dead within the story. And whatever the circumstance of her death was, I think, at least in part, it's what's motivating Shanks' actions right now, which in itself makes me think which in itself, like, it's kind of one of those things that makes me think that I think for Shanks, his motivation comes from a little bit of regret if Uta is truly dead, then it probably comes from the fact of not being able to save Uta. And if that's the case, though, it makes you wonder why he thinks going after One Piece or something would probably would help in kind of like in making him feel like it would serve as a. It just kind of begs the question even more, though, as to why he's after the One Piece, though. Like we don't even know if, like, it's one of those things where how does the One Piece tie to what possibly happened with Uta? That's kind of the one thing I think I'm curious about. And even if he wasn't, like, because it's also got me thinking that I think Shanks probably knows maybe a little bit more about the One Piece than we probably think he does. And in the sense where even if he wasn't there when Roger found the One Piece, I think he still probably learned something about it. And honestly, this whole Uta thing is kind of the one thing that's still bugging me right now, because it's the one aspect of the story that Oda has been the most tight-lipped on, in the sense where since this reveal, there's not been much to work with within the manga itself in terms of like the whole Uta Shanks connection and whatnot, and it's just, yeah, I'm wondering just what's going on there. Like, what is motivating Shanks in regards to what happened to Uta? How is Uta connected to Shanks' motivations? What does he know about the One Piece? All that stuff. And yeah, Luffy, you are such a bad liar. You knew Shanks was there. You just downplayed a motherfucker. And yeah, this episode pretty much marks the point where we're essentially out of Wano, honestly, at this point in the story with the anime, and everything beyond this point is pretty much going to be setting up for us to take the next big leap into the next arc, which, again, I still have my concerns about in terms of like how this is going to work, and especially with Toei saying that there's going to be no more filler, but I also have to assume this means the arc we're entering with the anime is only probably a couple chapters away from ending in the manga, especially given the spoilers I've seen, which, if true, oh boy, that's going to be a discussion, let me tell you. Unfortunately, because, yeah, so, but, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Control, be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.